Hello, everybody, and welcome to Victory Green Hour number 6 as your Philadelphia Eagles defeated the Miami Dolphins 31-27 on Sunday. Thank you for tuning in to the Kelly Green Hour. I'm your host, LJ Harrell, and I am joined again today by Mr. Crockpot himself, Dives. Dives, I'm so glad we were both wrong on Friday. The game did not go the way I thought it was going to go. And I'm mad because I put a parlay bet in and I missed the over. I had an AJ, an AJ, Jalen, and a Tyreek Hill anytime touchdown along with the over. And all the Eagles had to do was score on that last drive. Just give me something. And they couldn't do it. Give me a score, which they probably which would have been awesome if they could. But how you doing, man? I saw you went tailgating. Looked like you guys had a great time. You and the EOP staff.
We got to hang out with Birds of the Round Table down before the game, drinking some beers. It was a lot of fun. A lot of Dolphins fans, man. It was crazy, but it was a lot of fun.
It's great. Now, did the Dolphin fans get in the stadium? Because unlike when the Eagles fans travel, like they did to LA, Tampa, you can tell there are Eagles fans in the stands.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you didn't go in, but like from on TV, it didn't seem like there were Dolphins fans there. I mean, there's always going to be sprinkled here and there, but it didn't seem like there was a big group. But outside the stadium, you're saying it was crazy?
Yeah, everywhere, walking around with Eagles fans. It was a lot of fun. That was a lot. That was our first time kind of getting to see each other in person. So we've been doing the Birds of the Round Table for well over a year. So that was really, really fun. But man, was I wrong about this one, and happy I was wrong about this one because this was a Sean Desai masterpiece. The defense was the story. We'll get into it, but
we definitely will.
We had some question marks. There were big question marks heading into last weekend, and I think Sean Desai answered a lot of them.
Definitely did, and he did it with
Howie.
and Howie. We're definitely going to talk about the Howie fleecing the Tennessee Titans again. I still don't know why teams pick up the phone when Howie calls. I don't get it, especially the Titans. It was the Dolphins before when Mike Tannenbaum was running the Dolphins, and he was able to unload Kiko Alonso and Byron Maxwell so that they could go and get Carson Wentz back in 2016. And now it's the Titans after A.J. Brown last year, and now being able to get Kevin Byard. But that's something we will talk about. But before we get started, as always, follow Kelly Green Hour on Twitter at Kelly Green Hour. You can follow me on Twitter at LJHarrell54. Follow Dives on Twitter at Mr. Crockpot. And then you can follow Connor on Twitter at Connor10, and follow Edge of Philly Sports on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, anywhere. Search Edge of Philly Sports. So the Eagles are 6-1. A lot of talk coming into this game was the speed of the Miami Dolphins. This historic offense they've had through the first 5 or 6 weeks of the season. But also, you had mentioned it on Friday, the Dolphins, the teams they beat had a combined 5 wins. Oh, yeah. And before I get going, if you are tuning in live, please let us know your thoughts on the game in the chat. We have Daniel Barry. How you doing?
Phil, what's up, Phil?
The bell. Oh, by the way, you cannot wear a Sixer jersey and expect to win. The Phillies are losing tonight because of Bryce Harper. The dumbest thing he could have wore. I know Castellanos showed up in a Jordan jersey. I don't know if that's going to be able to get the stink of that dumbass Sixers jersey that Bryce Harper wore. That was dumb. Brad, hey guys, what's up? I really think and I believe and confident that the Phillies will beat the D-backs and move on to the World Series. I don't have confidence in the Phillies right now. No confidence whatsoever. I have more confidence in Ranger Suarez tonight. I know we're talking Eagles, but I have more confidence in Ranger Suarez tonight than I had in Aaron Nola yesterday. That's the only thing that's giving me hope, but no. Not after I saw what Bryce Harper was wearing. You want to say anything about that, Dodge? You're the Sixer fan.
Oh man, well we're going to be getting into a ton of Sixers content in a couple of days, but I'm not going to put them into this podcast. This podcast is about high hopes and optimism and all that kind of stuff. That's for another show.
All right. I gave you. I'm glad. Look, I'm rubbing off on you a little bit because you know. I
Listen,
so before we talk about the game, the jerseys, bro, they look freaking phenomenal on TV. They need to go back to them jerseys full time. I mean, maybe it's the nostalgia is why we all love them right now, and maybe if they were to go back to them full time, we might get tired of them. But my God, did they look amazing on TV. Like just around on the field, the old school logo at midfield, the end zone. I don't know what your thoughts are, but I loved everything about the presentation of the Kelly Green jerseys.
Of course, they're gorgeous. Of course, they should be their permanent jersey moving forward. But here's my problem, LJ. We got there at 12:30. I was with my wife. I was with my daughter. I had a wad of cash in my pocket, ready to go to the Eagles Pro Store and get my daughter some nice things. I just had my birthday. I got some cash. I was ready to like kind of get a lot of merch for my daughter. And the Eagles Pro Shop didn't open until 6. We were only there for like the tailgating portion.
It didn't open until 6?
They didn't open on Sunday until 6, man.
Really?
And I was kind of pissed off about it. I mean, she just kind of crossed the street and we got her some nice things at the Philly store, which was open and there was no game. Makes no freaking sense.
So I bet you. Well, actually, they probably closed at 4. But I was gonna say, if you were down the stadium tonight tailgating, you could probably walk into the Eagles Pro Shop on a Phillies game day to get your Eagles green.
I was kind of mad about that because I wanted to get some like Kelly Green pink stuff, like all that kind of stuff. But that's my one like bizarre story. Like on the phone it said they're open. We went to the store, they weren't open. They didn't open until.
So I wonder if the hours that they have on Google or whatever is their off-season hours, and like the weekday hours, and then like Sunday game day, it's just totally Thursday. No, but that does suck, man. I mean, granted, they made $1 bajillion off these jerseys anyways.
They're gorgeous.
I'm sure you'll get it, but man, like I said, they looked amazing. I agree with you, Brian. We're talking about Ranger Danger Suarez will have a dominant performance tonight and shut down the D-backs.
Let's go.
I know we're an Eagles podcast and we're talking Eagles game. I wanted Bohm out of the cleanup spot, by the way.
He stinks.
They needed to put JT there. Get Bohm out. Bohm cost. Well, the offense didn't show up in game 6, but Bohm has had opportunity after opportunity and has left a bunch of people on base. But again, that's a different story for a different show. All right. Yes, we love the Kelly Green jerseys, and I can't wait for the Buffalo game when they get to wear them again. Yeah. And I hope if the Eagles make the Super Bowl, they better wear them. They won't, but they better. I don't care. Wear the Kelly Greens. All right. So the Eagles, we talked about on Friday that the Dolphins were coming into this game, and it's been talked about a lot. Speed, and more speed. How are the Eagles going to be able to counteract that? And one thing Sean Desai said last week was, yeah, they got speed, but physicality can hurt speed. And what did the Eagles do? They got physical with the Miami Dolphins. Yeah. I am shocked, and of course there are plays out there. You can call a penalty on every play of every game if you wanted to, but the fact that the Eagles had 0 penalties, that they probably should have. I mean, Bradbury pulled on Wilson's helmet, and on Darius Slay's interception, could Cunningham have been called for a penalty? Maybe. Were there some holds here and there? Sure. But the fact that the Eagles got called for 0 penalties, they were disciplined. Man, I mean, yes, Jalen Hurts had a ball that got tipped and was picked off. He also fumbled, but that may have been the best game all around that the Eagles played so far this year.
Yeah, and it starts with the defense. My man Quentin's in the house. What's going on, man? Sorry for predicting the Eagles.
97-20. I remember that.
Yeah, man. It was the defense. It was, heading into this one, the fact that they held the Dolphins to 10 points. They had 17, but the one was off a pick 6.
That's 3 was off of the Jalen fumble too. So like they really only hold them to 7.
Crazy, man. And yeah, exactly. Like that was the lowest point total in a game featuring both Mike McDaniel and Tua. They sacked Tua on 8.6% of his dropbacks. He averaged 4.6 under McDaniel. They held him to an explosive play rate of 5.6% on his dropbacks. He averages 11%. So what they were able to do with this Dolphins passing attack and take away the big play, and also on the ground, the Dolphins only had 45 rushing yards. This was a team entering Week 7 as the number 1 rushing offense in the NFL, basically in every freaking statistical category. And, they did it such a great job that the Dolphins only had 244 total yards. That's less than half of their season average. They went
Yeah,
4-11 on third
500,
down.
yep.
And, this was Sean Desai sending a message to the NFC and saying that we're here, and most importantly, the Eagles are finally on the board with getting takeaways, which was something we lacked. I don't think they
Yeah,
had.
they didn't have the previous 3 weeks. They didn't have a turnover.
Yeah, man, like they were dynamite at that last year. So hopefully this is a sign of things to come. But for me, this was a true masterpiece performance by Sean Desai, Darius Slay, the Eagles defensive line. And I like how you said physical, because that was like the one area the Eagles had to win against the Dolphins, and they kicked their ass both offensively and defensively in the trenches.
One of Jalen Carter's first plays, Isaiah Wynn got hurt, I think had a quad injury, and he was out for the rest of the game. And we're talking about an offensive line for Miami that was already down their starting center and their starting left. I think Tremont Armstead plays left tackle. Their starting center, one thing we talked about on Friday, if Williams didn't play and Eichenberg was going in, Jalen Carter could show up, and he did. Eichenberg was really bad, and that's why they couldn't run. The Dolphins couldn't run the football, and the Eagles having the number one rushing defense. And I think I mentioned on Friday, the one way that the Eagles were going to have to win was controlling the ball, keeping the time of possession. They had, I think, about 25 more plays than the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins had less than 50 offensive plays. And when you can keep that offense off the field, and I know we talked about that they can get down the field quick. They can score in 3 plays if they wanted to. Well, the Eagles didn't allow that. And talking about Sean Desai, Quentin asked if Sean Desai is the MVP so far. I mean, obviously, when you don't play in the preseason, the first couple of weeks are preseason, and it took time to get for the defensive coaching staff, who are all new besides Rucker, the defensive line coach. Like, it took them time to gel, and then on defense, you had people getting hurt. Fletcher Cox was out of game. Jalen Carter was out of game. Hassan Reddick had a cast. Nakobe Dean was out for 4 weeks. Reed Blankenship has been out a couple games. Darius Slay was out. And Avonte Maddox is out. Bradley Roby is out. When you're playing with Mekhi Garner at safety, who's not a safety, like you're gonna have struggles. And the Eagles were able to keep the Dolphins in front of them. They let Tyreek Hill got by James Bradbury and by Edmonds, on his one touchdown catch. But besides that, the Eagles let everything play in front, and they made tackles. The one thing that the Dolphins are really good at is when they catch the ball in space is making people miss and going down the field. Well, the Eagles made tackles. We've always had issues. Like last year, they even had the issues of missed tackles, and they may have missed a few tackles on Sunday, but it didn't hurt them, and that was key. Like they would force. Now they gave up a 3rd and 18, a 3rd and 8, and a 3rd and 12, which was very frustrating. But besides that, they held and they contained this Dolphins offense, which nobody foresaw coming, because we were talking about it on Friday. Man, we were worried about who's going to stop Hill and who's going to stop Waddle, and are they going to be able to get pressure on Tua because he likes to get rid of the ball fast. Well, the Eagles didn't have to blitz to get to Tua, which allowed the secondary and the linebackers to drop back and not give up short passes, and the front four was able to get into Tua's face. That was huge. And being able to do that, now we know what this defense can do. And they got better the day after. They traded for Kevin Byard. They got rid of the worst defensive player on the team in Terrell Edmonds. You give up Terrell Edmonds and 2 third-day draft picks for a 2-time All-Pro safety. Yes, he's 30, but he still has some plays left in him. Like, he is still going to be able to make plays for this team. And when he gets and look, he's going to play on Sunday. He might not start, but he'll get in there. Reed will be back. He'll go out there and he'll play. He is going to make a big difference because he'll know what position to be in, and he's going to be able to help the corners be even better.
Yeah. We have a comment here from Chad.
Oh, wow.
That's heavy stuff. Prayers up, man. Prayers up. Sorry to hear that, man. Austin says Eli Ricks with the game on the line Sunday night for Miami, getting his hand in on that pass.
On that 4th and 10, yep.
Man, Eli Ricks, that was a great play.
And I mentioned it Friday. Talk about when you have Sidney Brown starting for the first time, Eli Ricks getting some play, Josiah Scott out there, and you have Tyreek Hill coming at you. Like that, my eyes would be huge. And Eli Ricks, I mentioned it in our chat. I think that Eli Ricks is going to be the number one corner for this team in 2 years. And I know you said Kalen King. I don't want another Penn State. I don't want another Penn State player. I'm so glad they lost to Ohio State, by the way. I don't want another Penn State guy on this team. But I think Eli Ricks
was pretty damn good, man.
I think Eli Ricks and Kaylee Ringo and Mekhi Gardner and like that's the future of this team in the secondary or at the cornerback position. And I'm not mad at it. Man, he took that challenge on, and granted, it was they expected Hill to catch the ball, make a man miss, get the first down because they threw it like 7 yards short of the sticks. But he was still in position to be able to knock that ball away, and he deserves a lot of kudos. The entire defense deserves a lot of kudos.
Yeah, look at this. The Dolphins receivers only averaged 2.3 average yards after the catch. That was the lowest figure, not only that's the lowest figure in the league last week. That's how elite this Eagles defense was. Like you said, I think you hit it on the nail on the head. The Eagles did a great job with tackling, and they did a great job keeping everything honest and in front of them. They played a clean game. This is a team that had 4 turnovers, bonehead mistake after bad decision after bad decision, and they really cleaned it up by great tackling, keeping the Dolphins to second and longs, third and longs. They did a really great job with that, and that starts. And that goes back to also the Eagles' defensive line, and Josh Sweat, Hassan Reddick, man, that guy was wrecking havoc, not just with his pass rush, but in run support. Hassan Reddick was in the backfield all game long.
Oh yeah, he didn't get sacks, but he was back there.
And you saw what Jalen Carter, the duo of Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis does for this Eagles defense. They are as elite as it gets, man. Those two together are a force. They are a problem. Mm-hmm. And just from everything. And, I think the Eagles kind of emphasis on, a heavy pass rush will kind of help things on the back end. And that's what we saw on Sunday night. But Eli Ricks, man, good for him. Good for him because he's kind of struggled a bit. We've seen him get more and more time in the slot. It's going to be interesting now with Kevin Byard and what that means. We can talk about that if you want. But just an overall just masterpiece performance again by the Eagles defense, keeping the Dolphins to those second and longs, third and longs, shutting them down on third down. I don't think they had a point in the second half, man.
No, they had was the second half the pick six.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
That's it.
The offense.
Okay, offensively, yeah, they didn't, but they did. Yeah. Yep. You're right.
So it's crazy that we're sitting here talking about Eli Ricks and guys like that made big plays. You go on our shows the last few weeks. We were killing those guys because that was by far the biggest weakness on this defense was their coverage, and they just got a huge boost when it comes to coverage with Kevin Byard and what that means for the Eagles secondary. And there's no more excuses, man. This defense is loaded.
I like how you put that. I was going to say the same thing. Now we know what they can do. They better not get shredded by Sam Howell this week, especially after how he looked against the Giants. Like if Sam Howell goes out there and throws for 350 yards against this defense, there's an issue. So you're right. There's no excuses going forward. They're getting healthy. Reed should be back. The front line is healthy. The linebackers are healthy. You added Byard, so Byard and Blankenship are going to be your safeties. Bradley Roby should also be back. Like the defense is going to be healthy. There are no excuses going forward for them taking a step back. They should not get beat, or they should not give up big yards to Sam Howell. And I get it; it's a week-to-week league, but like we know what this defense can do. They can get after the quarterback. The thing about Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat aren't getting talked about enough.
No.
They have more sacks than Micah Parsons, than Nick Bosa. Like, the fact that they're not being talked about is mind-boggling. And look, I love it because they're going to be under the radar, which means that's the extra chip on their shoulder going forward because they want to get that recognition. But they really need to, or the league, the outsiders really need to talk about those two because they're outstanding at what they do, what they get asked to do in this defense.
Yeah, especially Josh Sweat, who's having just a phenomenal season this year. He's got 6 sacks on the year. But if you go into ESPN analytics, like the dude, you can't find the dude in pass rush win rate. which doesn't make any sense. Like that's why sometimes you want to like throw that out the window. Or is he not? He might be just out of the top 10. I could be wrong. Let me look that up real quick. But Josh Sweat just continues to do his thing, and Hassan Reddick's not. He didn't. I don't think he had a sack, but what he was able to do against the Dolphins' run game and run support was nothing short.
Another offense trying to block Hassan Reddick with a tight end never makes sense to me. Like, that is so stupid. We saw what happened to the Niners and Brock Purdy when they tried to block Hassan Reddick with a backup tight end, and they did it on the one run, and Mostert got hit hard in the backfield for like I think a 3 or 4 yard loss. Like when teams are gonna realize not to do that, they'll be better off against the Eagles. And go ahead. Were you gonna say something?
I was right. So Hassan Reddick this was updated just a few hours ago. According to ESPN Analytics, Hassan Reddick is 7th best in the NFL with a 27% pass rush win rate. And Josh Sweat is nowhere to be found inside the top 20, which is absolute BS given how dominant he's been consistently throughout this season. I mean, look at the pressures 2, 8, 2, 4, 5, 6, 6. There's only 2 weeks where he hasn't gotten a sack in 7 weeks. So he's been dominant. That does not make sense to me.
Yeah, no. And his goal coming into the year was because every year of his career, he's gotten more sacks than the previous year. So his goal, I think, coming into this year was try to get over 11 sacks, and he's already halfway to that point. So, and we have 10 games left. So if he can stay healthy, I mean, he should easily do that. He's such a good force. And I remember when we drafted him, I wasn't that crazy high on him, but he has definitely proved me wrong, and I'm not mad at it. So, like, if he can continue that, when Desai doesn't have to blitz at a high rate, but he can bring blitzes, on occasion to surprise the defense, then that's just only going to make this defense even better, especially in the stretch that we're on. Like, we've talked about this stretch. We both thought that this game was going to be a loss, but after, again, a week-to-week lead. We didn't think we would lose to the Jets. We did. We thought we would lose to the Dolphins. We beat them. So,
I mean,
that's why they call it that's why they say any given Sunday. Anything can happen in the NFL. I want to jump over to the –
okay. No, I was just saying that my last comment is that's kind of what a great pass rush does for you, man. You look at the Bills. The Bills shredded the Miami Dolphins because of their pass rush. And we saw Josh Allen kind of expose that Miami defense. We kind of saw the same thing here in Week 7 with the Eagles' performance. Yeah,
I mean, talking about the Dolphins, their 2 losses have been to the Bills and the Eagles, and 2 teams that out-physicaled them. And that's probably the blueprint on how to beat the Miami Dolphins. I want to jump over to the Eagles offense. Jalen was good, man. He was 23 of 31, 279, 2 touchdowns, 2 passing touchdowns, along with a rushing touchdown on the tush push, which the Eagles were like 4 for 4 on. Always QB sneak, by the way, as Shane says. He had 1 interception and 1 fumble. The interception, I mean, like, that's bad luck, dude. It tips right to a guy. If you remember the Jets game, the ball went right from Dallas Goedert to Quinnen Williams. That's exactly pretty much what happened in this game. But after halftime, he was better than the first half, and that was when he put the brace on. Do you remember the Rams game when he had that run on 3rd and 7, got hit, his leg hit the turf, and I was worried then.
Yeah.
I thought he did something to his knee, and then he had a fine game, and there was nothing talked about it over 2 weeks. There's definitely something there. The Eagles didn't want it to get out, but people, this media market, if you can look at it, if they can take binoculars and see if he's got a brace on, even though he's got the pants and socks, and they're going to find out. And if you watch the press conference when Jalen was asked, he didn't want to talk about it. He never does want to talk about it. But once he put that brace on, he was moving around a lot better. Because if you remember in the first half, he had a run where he was running from the camera view, was running to the near sideline, and he was hobbling. But then he was running. Then a couple plays later, he ran and wasn't hobbling. I was worried, but obviously, I mean, he's a tough SOB. He's going to play as long as they let him play, and they obviously need him to win. But were you worried at all about like his leg, about him when he was hobbling and all that throughout the game?
Yeah, very worried.
Yeah.
We saw it coming a little bit. We've talked about that on this show last week, and we talked about it on previous shows. How he was more so sitting rather than extending plays. The lack of burst, the lack of explosiveness when he has gotten out of the pocket has not been there, especially when he's going like one-on-one with a defensive back. And he just rather sits or doesn't see the field. There's definitely been some question marks about what's going on with Jalen Hurts and this Eagles offense. That's a loaded question.
Yeah.
But I feel like the Eagles did a great job on Sunday just doing the basics. The Dolphins are kind of like the Eagles defense of 2022. This is a Fangio defense that likes to limit the big plays, two high safeties, keep everything in front of them. And the Eagles did that pretty steadily and by winning the time of possession and they're doing so at a historic pace, man. The Eagles held the ball for over 36 minutes against the Dolphins, and they've done it pretty much all season long. 39-plus minutes against the Vikings, 38-plus minutes against Tampa, 37-plus minutes against the Rams, 36-plus minutes now against the Dolphins. They could break the franchise record when it comes to time of possession. And what does that mean? It means the offense is on the field so much more time than the opposing offense, and that means the defense can rest and tee off in the second half. And we kind of saw that. But going back to what we saw with the Eagles, I like how they kind of kept it conservative. They dominated. They out-physicaled the Miami Dolphins at the line of scrimmage. And then second half, when they knew the Dolphins were kind of putting safeties in the box, they exposed them, and Jalen Hurts made them pay with that dime to A.J. Brown downfield. So overall, I loved the game plan. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, it was a really good game plan. I mean, there were plays where they on 3rd and 5, 3rd and 7, they run freaking Kenny Gainwell up the middle. That's still annoying as heck. Even going back to defense real quick, Nolan Smith even had a sack. Like he got into it. He needs to get all Derek Barnett snaps. By the way, I hate seeing Derek Barnett out on the field. But back to the offense, AJ Brown is a freaking stud. His 5th straight game with over 125 yards, joining Calvin Johnson, and I forget who the other guy is. Yeah, even Julio had a catch. Did you see So the Eagles put out a video today of Jalen Hurts. He was talking to Julio Jones, and he's like, "I thought it was you running with number 11 when he threw the ball to AJ Brown." And he's like, "Dude, I thought that was you." He's like, "I didn't know it was AJ." He's like, seeing it. It was so funny. Like, I love to see that from Jalen. Now, we don't see that in press conferences. He's very robotic. He's really he's smart with what he says. He doesn't like try to talk too much. But when he on the sideline, when I guess maybe he forgot he was mic'd up or something, just his interaction with Julio after the game, or excuse me, after the touchdown drive, and talking about, hey, I thought AJ was you. Like that was awesome. But yeah, like that throw that he made in double coverage over to AJ Brown, he got hit on the play because Kenny Gainwell missed the block. But that was like the perfect pass. You couldn't put that anywhere else. And Jalen made the throw. Like, he is definitely, like, the first couple weeks of the season, it felt like he was struggling when it came to the passing game, but he is definitely getting, like, obviously the turnovers are an issue, but I forget who put it out there. And we were talking about it Friday, you were saying, if you look at all the offensive stats through the first 6 games, they're the same. The only difference is they're not scoring in the red zone, which they scored 3 or 4 times, 3 or 4, I think, or is it 4 or 4, one of them, and turnovers. If he can bring the turnovers down, like, it's going to be tough to beat this team, especially with them controlling the ball time possession and getting after the quarterback on defense.
Yeah. This comment: should we have drafted someone other than Nolan Smith? Watch it, Quentin, because David from Birds of the Round Table is going to come at you. He loves him some Nolan Smith. But there were a couple guys, you kind of look back, but Joey Porter Jr. was there. Julius Brents was there. But I think Nolan Smith was the right choice. I do think he's going to be a stud. And we all saw this coming. Like I said this before, is that he was probably going to get the Jordan Davis treatment and get ramped up as the season progresses here. But what were we talking about before that? Sorry.
Well, and you're not going to take Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat off the field, which is pretty much the position that Nolan plays. So like, if one of them were to unfortunately get hurt, we would definitely see the ramp up of Nolan Smith, and I don't have any issue with that. What was I saying? Like Jalen just getting better week by week, and the numbers pretty much on par with last year. And if they can score in the red zone, bring the turnovers down, like they're going to be averaging over 30 points a game easily.
I haven't looked at the all 22 yet, but what we have seen is steady progression with the RPOs as dominant as they were last year. We've seen, we all know they're the best zone run blocking team in the NFL, but it's the RPOs, it's the heavy personnel, it's things like that. And it's not so much the offense between the 20s, it's the offense when it gets to the red zone. And that's when you start to question Brian Johnson and his playmaking and decision-making. And that's when maybe Nick Sirianni would be the best one to make those calls. I don't know. But
yeah, because the first red zone drive yesterday was run, field goal. Like they passed to get down there, and then they just didn't throw the ball. But it was nice to see that they were the next 3 red zone drives, they scored touchdowns. The Jalen tush push, the pass to
this was a great tush push game.
My God, it was awesome. It was great. And again, they called it a penalty on the Eagles because they Jason Kelsey's gonna have to, or Dickerson's gonna have to wear a different color glove. I'm convinced like that's the only way that the refs are going to be able to realize who is who. But they had the tush push touchdown, Goddard screen, which was awesome because when you have when you're a defensive back and Jordan Mailata is running full speed at you, you're going to turn around and run the other way. Yeah. Then was the AJ Brown touchdown in the red zone, or was that just outside the red zone?
It was just outside.
And then Kenny Gainwell was able to score to make it 31-17. But like, and you said it, they went on it on 4th and 1 in the fourth quarter in their own at the 26-yard line. Mm-hmm. That takes some balls. And then on that same drive they did it in like the 40-yard line or something like that takes a lot. When they sent Braden Mann out there and then called a timeout, I was like, okay, they're going to definitely go for it. I was actually calling before they sent Braden Mann out there. I was calling for them to go for it, to do the tush push because they weren't going to stop him.
No.
And just it was like you said, it was a great game for that play. And even though Jalen was bothered, they still call it. Like you can't stop that play. I mean, other teams can't run it, but you can't stop the Eagles when they run it.
I feel like there has, I don't watch the NFL as much as you have, but like at least during the broadcast, at least like from my perspective, there's starting to be a little less pushback when it comes to the tush push and teams wanting to ban it and things like that. I think teams are finally starting to realize how elite the Eagles are.
It's the media that want it banned because they're like, it's not aesthetically pleasing and this isn't football. Well, the forward pass used to not be in football either, so they can shut the hell up. Like, do you want to get and they talk about injuries. Do you know how 2 of the defensive players from Miami got hurt yesterday? They ran into each other on a crossing pattern. So are we not going to run crossing patterns anymore? Like are we? If you're going to get rid of every play that has injuries, then there's not going to be a game of football.
Exactly.
Yeah, I saw Fred Warner jump over the line and stop them, but that's also Kirk Cousins trying to do it. And Kirk Cousins is terrible. Like, and that offensive line's really not that good. But that was a great play by Fred Warner. He won't be able to do that against the Eagles, though. Like, they're smart. He timed that perfectly. I don't know if he would be able to time it against the Eagles, but I did see that, Quentin. Yeah. And Kirk Cousins definitely isn't Jalen Hurts when it comes to sneaking. Also, there was never pushback when Tom Brady did the quarterback sneak and was like he had a high percentage of that. Where was the pushback of getting rid of it then? Is it just because only one team is good at it? No. If you want to get better at it, like so Shane Steichen came from the Eagles and he went to the Colts, and the Colts have, week 1 struggled with it, but Dallas Goedert has talked about the Eagles have like a page and a half of rules or something of how to do this and what to do. Do you think Shane Steichen would have took that with him to Indianapolis and they still can't run it? Like, just learn how to do it. You shouldn't get rid of it. You shouldn't get rid of the play. And again, it's not other teams that are talking about it. It's not even other players that are really talking about it. Like Micah Parsons a couple weeks ago on his Bleacher Report show said, and I actually respect it from him. He's like, you shouldn't get rid of it just because they're good at it. We just have to find a way to stop it. So like, I respect what he was saying about it. It's other teams' fans. It's other teams' media, like other market media that are saying, oh, this isn't an NFL play. It's Peter King. Like Peter King is, again, there used to not be the forward pass in the NFL. Do you want to get rid of the forward pass now or do you want to did we get rid of the forward pass because it's not what the NFL used to be? No. So learn how to stop it, learn how to do it, and keep it in the game, I think. I'll maybe that's because we're Eagles fans and we're really good at it. And if it was the other way around, maybe who knows? Maybe we would want to get rid of it, but no. They let them keep doing it. We'll take what I want to see though, and I think it'd be hilarious. I want to see a full drive of nothing but tush pushes. They average like 3 to 4 yards. I think that they could wipe away an entire quarter. Now, Jason Kelsey and that offensive line might.
Oh my God!
But I would love to see a full drive of tush pushes.
I'm like, who would you? It wouldn't be Hurts. I would probably do like
running back, Goddard.
Yeah, maybe Goddard. That'd be a good one. Or
Mailata, like put Tyler Steen at left tackle and put Mailata under center. I just want to see it. Like they
that
should.
Would be
next preseason, the Eagles should do it. It's a preseason game. Who the heck cares?
Absolutely, it's the best play in football, Quinn. No one has stopped it. And ironically, like the Eagles are fourth when it comes to fourth down conversions in the NFL. Like they're. It's just the most efficient play in football, and the Eagles shouldn't be penalized for that. That's just how good they are at that. Like Kelsey and Dickerson and Mailata, man, those guys just get so low to the ground and just bully.
Just wait till Jerkins comes back because he's way better than Sewell better. So the Eagles ran for I think 99 yards, and they're still fourth in the NFL in rushing, but they haven't ever since Jerkins got hurt. They haven't been running as well as that they were before Jerkins got hurt. So Jerkins should be able to come back in a week or two. Probably my guess is he'll come back after the bye. When we face Kansas City is my best guess at this time. Obviously things can change. But when he gets back, like that'll be key is going up against Kansas City and Chris Jones and Karlaftis and that defense. So I mean the Eagles are gonna want to the Chiefs are gonna be the type of offense you want to keep Patrick Mahomes off the field if possible. So they're gonna go and they'll run the football, they'll control the time of possession. But yeah, I mean, they did a lot of things well in this game. They started off a little slow, but they got it going and they kept Miami's offense off the field. And the defense for Miami kind of really had no clue. Like Eli Apple was talking a bunch of and Eli Apple didn't really do much of anything. AJ Brown again dominated. Dallas Goedert had a touchdown. Devontae Smith had like 4 catches, I think. DeAndre Swift had a couple catches. He had 62 yards, but he averaged, I think, like 4.2 yards a carry. Still, if your running back's averaging 4 to 5 yards a carry, you can get a first down in 2-3 plays. So they only gave him the ball 15 times. I would like to see him run it a little bit more, not have Jalen run it a lot or not have Gainwell run it a lot, but they deserve a lot of credit. Sean Desai definitely was the coach of the game for the Eagles. Like he had an outstanding game plan. And, Brian Johnson he's been up and down all year, and I think that this was an up for him. And he has to try to let's keep that trajectory going up. Let's not do this wave thing. Let's keep pointing forward as we get into this gauntlet of a schedule we have coming up.
Yeah, what I liked about Brian Johnson, the Eagles weren't extremely efficient running the football, but he didn't abandon it. And he kept at it, and that was nice to see because there's too many times this year where we've seen Brian Johnson kind of go away from what's working on the football field. He's not necessarily seeing what's working, and we'll see that. And that's been part of their red zone issues where they'll run, and they're moving right down the field. Then it's pass, or vice versa. That's been some of his issues, and I thought we saw a much more balanced game plan to the benefit of the Eagles.
We talked about it Friday. The one play to the next, there's no rhyme or reason for it. It's like we're gonna do this, but they don't set up the next play, and it felt like that they did that this week. And if they can continue to do that, then there's going to be some good things going forward. You don't. Who's this? DM Ohine says, "Don't think," and I'm assuming you're talking about Swift needs more than 17 to 18 carries a game. You're probably right. Again, 15 is probably. I want to see him at 20. I'm fine with the 20 range. And obviously they want to keep him healthy. Like there's a reason that they're keeping Penny on the roster, even though they don't like him on the roster. It's weird. But obviously if something happens to Gainwell Scott or Swift, they have Penny as your break glass in case of emergency guy. They scored 4. Was it 4 or 3? I thought it was 3 touchdowns. Maybe it was 4 in the red zone.
My take on this is that I don't really care about an October football game. Just keep him healthy. That's what matters most. Right now he's averaging like around 15 carries per game. I think that's a good number. And we know, once November, December comes around, the Eagles they typically, I think, kind of slightly favor more of a ground game. We'll see. But how can you argue with their game plan? I mean,
you can't, not from Sunday, not at all.
The chemistry between Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown is just ridiculous, right? It's off the charts effective. Like A.J. Brown's on pace to shatter his record from last year.
He had 1496 last year. He's on pace for over 1900.
Ridiculous. It's absurd. So now, let's pick your poison. And it depends on matchups, right? Like I'm good going week to week depending on matchups.
And I'm pretty sure Washington benched Forbes after what AJ did to him a couple weeks ago. So we'll see if that's the matchup again this week. Because if it is, good luck, Forbes.
Forbes got killed.
Oh my God! And then the next week after they faced us, he got killed again. And I think that's when he got benched. So we'll see what happens in this game coming up on Sunday. Quick question about AJ. Now we've seen this is 7 weeks of what AJ has done, and obviously he's on a historic pace. We saw in 2004. What T.O. did in his first season with the Eagles. T.O. or A.J. Brown?
God. I mean, T.O. was so electric, man.
Oh, my God. Obviously,
I gotta go slight T.O. And this is coming from someone that every single time we were spoon-fed that A.J. Brown is the next T.O. in Philly, I just shrugged my shoulders and rolled my eyes. I was like, that's not happening. Like, T.O. is the best I've ever seen in person. And it's closer than I think. I think depending on how long the longevity of A.J. Brown in Philadelphia, man, he could break some serious records if he's
looking like a steal at $25 million a year right now, too.
And I was wrong because for me, I thought it was going to be the opposite. I thought we would have seen A.J. Brown slightly go downward with Devontae slightly going upward. We haven't really seen that. Like it's been the A.J. Brown show. And so as people want to say, run the damn ball, like you can't go against the results, man. They are just putting up some crazy numbers, man.
T.O. had more TDs, but AJ plays with better wide receivers and shares the load.
I don't know. I think AJ gets like 10 plus targets a game, right? Like
well, I mean, like we'll go like the Jets game. I'm pretty sure Devontae had more targets. And obviously, and like you said, it depends on the matchup. Again, Devontae had another drop this week. Like that's so uncharacteristic of him.
Yeah.
But the one thing I do like their relationship is really good though. Now I know that Devontae is a little frustrated because he might not be getting the numbers, and obviously he's coming up on I think after next year he can get paid. I think after this year he can get paid, one of them. And he's gonna want to get paid. And then the big question is how we want to pay two receivers the 25 plus million that it's gonna cost, because you're gonna have to pay AJ too. And B, is Devontae gonna want to be here as the 1B or the 2, whatever, Or is he going to be the? And I think you talked about that on Friday because I had asked, and you said like he might want to go somewhere and be the number one guy. But hopefully, I'm not saying he'll take a hometown discount, but like being drafted here, maybe he'll stay. Like if you're playing with Jalen, who you played with in college, like and the obviously winning means a lot too. If they're continuing to win, hopefully he'd want to be here. But like the Eagles have never had a better 1-2 punch than they have right now. Easy.
Yeah, and I hate to say this because this is going to sound really bad, and I want to reiterate that I love Devontae, and I think he's just going to be an amazing wide receiver for us for the foreseeable future. But in the event that he chooses to go to a different team to be a number one, this year's draft is absolutely loaded at wide receiver. And like I'm telling you, at the back end of first round, there's going to be guys like Roma Dunze, Malik Neighbors, Troy Franklin, Keon Coleman. These guys are like 6'3", 6'4", bona fide number 2 potential wide receiver.
I don't know if the Eagles take a receiver in the first round, though.
I know.
I think offensive line is more of a.
I agree. I fully agree. But
Danny says Eagles had 0 flags Sunday night. I want to see at the end of the year how many teams go with 0 flags. The Jalen Carter punch don't even count. The draft guru. So I had mentioned that. Look, Bradbury did pull on said Wilson's helmet. There were a couple of holds that could have gotten called. The refs missed stuff a lot. I am shocked though that it was 10-0 in flags. Like that does not, or in penalties.
Yeah,
that were accepted. That does not happen at all. I can't. And I meant to look this up and I didn't. I don't know the last time the Eagles had 0 penalties in a game, and B, the last time an NFL team had 0. Maybe it's happened this year. Who knows? But it's very rare that happens. Keon Coleman won't make it past 15. He's legit.
You could be right, Danny. He's gonna blow up the combine.
I want Jeremiah Trotter Jr., but I don't think he makes it to wherever the Eagles.
There's a better chance the Eagles get a wide receiver than linebacker.
I know. But I would love
Keon Coleman's one of my favorite players in this draft, man.
He's at Florida State, right? And he's the transfer from
Michigan State.
Michigan State, yeah.
He's 6'4", athletic freak, contested catch guy.
Didn't he have like 3 touchdowns against LSU in the first game?
Yeah, he's been my winner of the week. I do short videos of like winners of the week, probably like 5 or so every single week after. That's what I do before getting ready for football Sunday. And Keon Coleman's made it at least 3 times this year. He's a first-round talent for sure. Eichenberg over Trotter. I don't know about that. Junior Colson, Danny. Check out Junior Colson.
Who's Eichenberg play for?
He plays for Ohio State. Very good linebacker. Very good.
So there's 2 things. We kind of want to touch base on the Kevin Byard trade. What are your thoughts on that? I thought it was a great move. 2 day 3 picks, Terrell Edmonds for an all-pro safety. I think it's a great move that Howie made.
It's so good on so many fronts. Obviously, the need it's clear, but for me, it's his versatility. He's got extensive time playing in the slot, playing all across the defense, which is a huge fit for this Eagles defense. Like you saw the PFF stats, like he's the best graded coverage defensive back since 2020, I believe. He hasn't missed an NFL start, I think. He's been very healthy. He's an Iron Man. So I just put out a short on him, like a little height video just before we went live. Go check it out on Kevin Byard. But he's like a leader. He's going to be a big piece of this locker room. There's not much not to like, man. Like it's really exciting. You look at his numbers so far this year. He's been targeted in coverage 21 times. He's given up 15 receptions for 181 yards. He's given up 0 touchdowns. I expect this guy to be the Swiss Army knife of this defense in that defensive backfield, just like Jim Schwartz used Malcolm Jenkins, just like Jonathan Gannon used C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I love his versatility, and I think he's the playmaker they really need back there. And his fit next to Reed Blankenship has unbelievable potential because Reed Blankenship is underrated in his regard, in his right. So it's an unbelievable move by Howie, and I'm just still kind of shocked by the Tennessee Titans that they still answer the goddamn phone. I don't understand. Like he's by far the best they could have brought in. And this is coming from someone that, knowing Howie, like, I didn't expect this move at all. I'm still shocked.
I mean, because I think on Friday I had mentioned Justin Simmons and Buda Baker. I don't know. I don't remember if I mentioned Byard. But like I knew especially after Tyreek Hill's touchdown and Edmonds was way out of position, I knew that like a move was going to have to be made. And I didn't think it was going to be Monday, but I'm glad it did. Quentin asked any other needs to address before the trade deadline. Wow. They brought in, like, I would say receiver, but they like maybe a slot receiver, but they brought in Julio.
They brought in Julio.
Like a Jerry Judy would have been nice, but
and Albert O hasn't gotten on the field yet, right?
Yeah, no, he hasn't been active at all this year.
I think they're good at
really need a running back.
As crazy as it sounds, I'm good at linebacker.
I'm trying to think. I can't think of like any maybe a tackle, but no team's going to trade a tackle because an offensive tackle. Because if you have an offensive tackle that can play, like Brett Toth just got picked up off the Eagles practice squad by the Panthers. So like they don't need a. If they stay healthy, they are the most talented roster in football right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that can be debated.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Yeah,
but yeah, I can't think of any. Do you have any, Quentin? Because I can't think of anything right now.
Before
we get to our unheralded player, I kind of want to jump into the college game real quick.
Yeah.
The Michigan situation that's going on. You've
Michigan State.
No, Michigan. The sign stealing.
Oh, I don't really know much about that.
So they have a scout on there that over the last 2 years bought tickets to 30 games, I think.
Wow.
Wentz is available. I mean, would he be better than Marcus Mariota if we had to play him? So this scout bought tickets to 30 Big Ten games and bought 2 seats, one on one side of the field, one on the other, so he can look at both sidelines. And there's a picture going around. He has a bunch of like laminated papers, and it has the hand signals, so they can look over at the opposing sideline, see what the hand signal is, and know what play is coming. And this guy just got suspended by Michigan. And there's been all this talk that Harbaugh is going to leave Michigan after this year and go to the NFL. There's a chance that they could be hit with some very heavy penalties because of it.
I love it.
You're a Penn State man.
Let's cut the BS. Every single team is out there trying to find an advantage. Every single
but
team.
Nobody has done that. I don't understand why college they don't do speakers in the helmets. That needs to happen.
Yeah.
Why don't they Matt Rule was talking about it. In high school they do it. Some high schools do it. In NFL they do it, but in college they don't.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Just do it, because then you won't have to worry about looking over at the sideline and getting speakers or hand signals to somebody. Like, it just doesn't make sense. But yeah, I mean that story is really, really intriguing coming out of Michigan. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens going forward. And if they are imposed any type of penalties, does Harbaugh go, deuces, I'm going to the NFL, whether it's the Raiders or wherever else? Because I think McDaniels is going to get fired by the Raiders.
And then they give Coach Prime a call and say, hey, what's up? We all know Coach Prime is heading to Florida. There's a second job.
Florida State?
Florida, Miami, like wherever. Well, Miami's not going to be available. Or not, Florida State's not going to be available.
Well, I don't know so since he went to Florida State, I don't know if he would go and coach Miami or Florida.
You don't think so?
No.
Okay.
I want to know how long he's going to stay at Colorado is my question.
As soon as his son's drafted, and he will be, I give him a year or 2 at most.
You think he goes to the pros? Now, he's talked about he doesn't want to go to the pros, but do you think if his son, wherever his sons get drafted, if they get drafted together, probably a definite, but if Shador gets drafted by whoever, you think he would go and coach them in the pros?
I hope not. I want him to stay in college. I think he's a refreshing thing for the game. I love everything Coach Prime brings and his relatability with his players. I love it. It's different, and different is good. So
yes,
I hope he stays in college.
I agree with you. All right. So before we finish off, let's move to the unheralded player of the week in the NFL for Week 7. And by unheralded, we're not talking about like the Jalen Hurts, the Patrick Mahomes, like the guys that we anticipate doing well. Somebody like under the radar that nobody saw coming. Who is your unheralded player of the week for Week 7?
So these things on my shows, I always cheat, and the guys always make fun of me. So I'm going to cheat again here, and I'm going to go with the entire Vikings offensive line.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So
No sacks.
The Niners pass rush was like their bread and butter, man, and the Vikings held them at bay. The Vikings were 7 of 11 on third downs. 183 of Kirk Cousins' yards, 378 yards came on third downs. The 49ers had trouble getting to Kirk Cousins all game long. No Vikings linemen allowed more than 2 quarterback pressures. They allowed just 1 hit on Cousins, and he didn't take a single sack on 45 dropbacks. The 49ers registered a pass rush win rate of 15.6%, their lowest mark since 2017. Wow. Give it up for the Vikings offensive line.
And this is against primetime Kirk, who's terrible. So I was going to go Jordan Addison.
Yeah, that was my number 2.
But I'm going with Tyson Bagent, the backup quarterback for the Chicago Bears. He led them to a 30-12 victory over the Las Vegas Raiders. Bagent was 21 of 29, 162 yards, a touchdown. I actually saw Bagent a year ago from Sunday because I'm a graduate of Westchester University, and he played at Shepherd. They're both in the PSAC. Don't ask why a West Virginia school is in the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference. But I went to that because the game was at Westchester, and I wanted to see him play. And he obviously he tore up Westchester secondary. So a year I was watching him at Westchester, and a year later I'm watching him in the NFL starting against the Raiders, winning a game. So it's pretty cool to see a Division II. He's the only Division II quarterback on an NFL roster, by the way, too.
Cool.
So it is cool to see somebody that you saw play in college, especially at the Division II level. It's cool to see him succeed. And I don't know if he's not. Is he better than Justin Fields? Who knows? Maybe he'll get that up. No, but good job by Tyson Bagent and to get the victory in his first NFL start. And you went with the Vikings offensive line, and they definitely had a great game against that ferocious pass rush of the San Francisco 49ers. Yeah. All right, so before we finish off, final thoughts on the Eagles' 31-17 victory over the who do they play? Miami Dolphins. They're the number one right now, tied for the best record with the Kansas City Chiefs. The 2 Super Bowl teams right now from last year are the 2 best teams in the NFL record-wise at the time. There was a bunch of talk about Detroit being up there. They lost. They got demolished by Baltimore. Obviously, Miami was talk. San Francisco talk. Dallas didn't play, and maybe they're starting to look a little bit better in some eyes of some people in the NFC. But yeah, your thoughts on the Eagles' victory?
Final thoughts is, God damn it, I'm excited for a Sunday 1:00 game next week.
Me too. God, I hate these. Dude, Saturday night was baseball. Sunday night was football. Monday night was baseball. Tonight is I'm so happy we get a 1:00 game. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, I'm older. So I enjoy my, cocktails at 12:30 and, putting food out, first thing in the morning and getting it ready. Sunday night games are killer, man. Especially I work very early during the weekdays. So that was nice that we finally have another 1:00 game on the horizon. But that's the take is I'm happy to get back to that because like you said, it's been nonstop here with the Phillies and Eagles, man. It's been crazy.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. And I can't wait. Just get these finally. And I hate stressing all day. Quentin said before we finish off, Eagles are 1-0 in the gauntlet, about to be 3-0. Look, Sam Howell better not. We're going to talk about this on Friday this week. But Sam Howell better not do what he did against us a couple of weeks ago.
Especially with his
guys,
legs.
Please let everybody know where they can find your work and whatnot. Plug yourself.
Mr. Crockpot on Twitter. Really busy week. Right after this, going live with Birds of the Round Table. talking Eagles versus Commanders, top matchups to watch. Be sure to check that out. Wednesday, we are doing a Sixers show on Killing Me Smalls with me and Austin and Mike Small. That's at 6 o'clock. I'm joining the Philadelphia Sports Table tomorrow night as a guest, talking more Eagles. Go check that out. And then Thursday is more Sixers. They're home, or not home, but season opener is Thursday night. We're doing a watch party and we're doing a post-game show. So it's it's a busy week. Yeah, I know, LJ. I know.
No, I appreciate you filling in for Connor. Just skip the Sixers. I 100% agree with that, Clayton. We don't need a basketball. We don't need when are we going to move to Camden? Because let's be real. They rather be in Camden than they rather be in Philly. Let's get a real Philadelphia team here. No, but Dodds, thank you for filling in the last couple of shows, potentially a couple more. Hopefully you'll be able to join on Friday when we do our Philadelphia Eagles versus Washington Commanders preview show. As always, follow us on Twitter at Kelly Green Hour. Follow me on Twitter at LJHurl54. Follow Connor on Twitter at Connor10. And follow Edge of Philly Sports on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, anywhere. Just search Edge of Philly Sports. And thank you all for tuning in and joining the show in the comment section. For Dodds, I'm LJ. Thank you for tuning in to the Kelly Green Hour.